Hello everybody, I have another video for you. This time it is a Wither Rose farm. I found that there wasn't really much tutorials out there for Wither Rose farms on Bedrock Edition that weren't just throw a whole bunch of eggs and then blow up a wither. So this here is going to be powered by Enderman. So I'll show you a little bit of how it works. So first off, you've got a simple Enderman farm. Your Endermen, they'll spawn, see the Endermite, and walk down that hole. I've made my own modifications here so that there's no other damage blocks around here, and it's just a small 1x1 hole rather than a 3x3. That drops them down here, where obviously we've got a wither blowing them up. So I will show you real quick. Here we have one where I've used barrier blocks so you can see exactly what's happening. How the wither skulls are hitting right at foot level here of the Enderman when they fall down. Go. And how we've got our bubble column redirecting the skulls, and how the blue skull will move slower so you can build this long enough and with a low enough ceiling to filter out your blue skulls so you don't have to worry about them blowing up your drop chute. This wither cage here that it's being contained in is just one of the small gateways, and we go through a process to remove some of the bedrock as well as the portal. And then, just a standard chicken here sitting as a target, and then the rest of it is just building out of blast-proof blocks. So that's gonna be your waterlogged stairs so that your blue skulls can't blow it up, and then also when you place your stairs the right way around, the Endermen aren't going to teleport to them, so they'll stay in the kill chamber there. So that's it basically. That's as simple as it can be. I found it does not matter how many pieces of soul sand you have. The skulls will only change a certain amount. So 1 soul sand will work, but 3 is just a little bit more reliable to make sure that the change does happen. The change in direction does happen. So here we have, starting from this front piece of bedrock in front of the wither, I've got 5 blocks out, and then on the 6th block we're starting our soul sand, and then 3 blocks of soul sand, and the chicken is just far enough out that it's safe and not going to get hit, so that's 15 blocks out. And then this over here, you're just lining it up straight in front of the wither, and you're pillaring up until your obsidian starts getting hit, and then that's going to mark where your foot level is. So, fairly simple farm to build, but let's go through the process of actually getting it built now. Okay, over here I've got us a gateway. Now, to remove your portal, I used to use the crimson nether trees, and I would plant them directly underneath it, and I would let the trunk get rid of this portal. But that's not going to work for us anymore. It does work currently when I'm recording this, but in the future betas, that's going to go away. So what we need is something that we can plant a mushroom on, and we need a red mushroom. Now this part of the tutorial is something that I got from Saint Ask. So we're going up 7 blocks above this, so 6 above the mushroom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Making all that be air blocks. And then we're going to bone meal that. So that removes our portal. And now we get rid of this. Okay, now that you have the gateway prepared, we need to get rid of some of the bedrock. This part's going to be directional, so I like using pumpkins. This points to northwest, so that's the north, that's the west. It's best if you work on the west side so that you're facing the east. So we need some obsidian, end crystals, we need a piston, something to power it, and we need some scrap blocks. So you're going to come out so that you've got 2 blocks here, so you've got a gap. And then we're going to get our piston set up to push the end crystal. We need to put 1 pumpkin in there, and we need to put a pumpkin in here. So we're going to push the crystal into this pumpkin, and it's going to, this crystal will destroy this bedrock down here because the fire will be right down there. And then we are going to push another crystal into this one here, and it's going to jump over here, and the fire for it will be on top of this pumpkin, and it's going to destroy that bedrock. So we're going to place this crystal there, and now it's pushed inside this block, and as soon as we relog, it's going to jump. Okay. And then the crystal, that was supposed to be a piston. Okay, now this is ready. So this is what you're aiming for before you relog, and now let's relog. There you go. Blow up the crystals. We've got our obsidian broken in both places there. Now you can repeat that process 1 step over to remove this one. Do that. Oop. There we go. So I'm choosing to remove this direction, and that is because if you decide to use your wither to break blocks for other farms as well, your south and your east directions are the best directions to push the blocks in from, and you're going to be spawning the wither in from the west side. So my preference is to remove this block here, which is where the wither is going to be shooting from, towards the north. You may want to pick one of the other directions. You can pick any one you want, but probably you should make sure that you have nothing you care about in the direction the wither is going to be primarily shooting. Now, if you are removing one of the west or east ones here, it might be easier for you to push the crystal in from the north. It is possible to push the crystal in from the north side and have it remove bedrock. You might just want to play around with it in creative to get comfortable with that first. So if I've done this correctly, we're going to remove that next piece of bedrock, which I have not. Right. can't push pumpkins. There we go. So, like I said, maybe play around with in creative to make sure you're going to get that correctly, and get it set up before you put the wither in, so you're not struggling with that. So then we put time to build a wither, right? We are going to get some temporary blocks. I'll just use obsidian. This is my preference for how to do this, is I come out one block and then I make my template. You don't need to really make it a template because it's going to be one-time use, but you do need to have all the blocks here. This block here is required, and this block here is required. You need a block down here and a block down there. Now all of that is going to make sure that when you summon the wither, it jumps all the way into the center, and these blocks down here push it up enough that it ends up inside of there and it doesn't just fall out the bottom. There you go. And you have your wither summoned in. So now you see the wither can break some of these blocks here. But we're going to get rid of it for now until we're a little bit more ready for it, since building with the wither around is going to be a pain. Now I'm going to recommend that in the process of building this, from here on, you get a cage built that you had seen over there around the wither to contain the skull so that they're not flying around and destroying everything. Now, you see this block here didn't get broken when this block was broken, and that's because the wither has a bit of an offset breaking pattern. If I were to put any block here, even if it was a waterlogged stair, it would get broken on the south or the west side. So if we come out one block, I'm going to start actually my level down here. There we go. So we build our walls too thick out of stairs, we can waterlog them all and not make a giant mess, and then keep that one block gap all the way around. You can go a little bit wider if you want, but I don't see much of a reason to do that most of the time. So we'll keep our temporary blocks prepared for when we do summon the wither in, and I'm going to just build up this section here of the wither cage real quick, and I'll come back once this is all done. Okay, so I have it partially done here. You can see what I'm doing is I'm leaving space so that I can get as much built as possible before we summon in the wither, and then I'll just have this one wall to finish. And I'm stopping here before I carry on. I do want to go several walls higher because I can shoot upwards at a decent angle, so I'll want to be a couple blocks above. But I'm stopping here because right here is where we're going to be putting where the wither is shooting out of. So we need to make a hole here. So we're going to turn these stairs so that we're not making a giant mess with the water, and we don't have to come back and rip it out later. It's not the end of the world if you have to come back, but it just gets a little bit frustrating if you forget to put this in and then you're trying to figure that out while the wither is there. Okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to add another 4 layers, I think. You could make it shorter and just go one above this and cap the whole thing off with stairs if you wanted. But I like going a little bit taller and then being able to see the wither. Okay, we have it mostly ready now. Probably could just put a temporary block in here, summon the wither, and close it off. But let's keep going here with some of the building. Now you notice I got all these endermen down here. You will want to cover this entire island in something endermen will not spawn on or teleport to. So either you gotta cover it all in leaves or cover it all in water. Considering we're working with wither, I'm going to recommend water since that's going to be blast proof. And it's easier to spread around. You don't have to come out with a whole bunch of shulkers. So you can level this off to make it a little bit easier for yourself, but you're going to end up spamming water down and cover probably half the island. It's best just to go out to whatever your despawn range is, because even though we're going to be working with a shorter teleportation range for the endermen from your drop chute, there is still the odd enderman that could maybe spawn, come in, mess up your mob cap, everything else. So just cover a whole big large area until you don't see enderman at all while you're building this thing. Now let's start counting here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And get ourselves a building block in here. 5. And now on the 6th block, we start our 1, 2, 3 soul sand. We're going to get one more block here. And then we need to go down 1. And this is going to be our little catch basin to keep the water in check. So, circle all this with water. on. Working with stairs. There we go. That'll keep the water in there. And then when it comes out, it's just going to land in there. Right? And I also want to put a spot here to catch the water. That should catch the water. Okay, there we go. See, that's catching it just fine. Make sure it's all waterlogged so it doesn't blow up on us. So, 2 blocks tall. And then we can just put a ceiling in right away. Okay. Whatever design you want with all this. Here I'm going to switch to a top stair because the skulls are going to be rising, and then slab, half slab there. You can play around with this. The change in the height here is just to allow your regular skulls out, but catch your blue skulls. You can make this a little bit longer still, and it will be more forgiving for being able to separate those 2 skulls. So if you're struggling with it, just make this a couple blocks longer, make the ceiling a little bit higher, and then you can just play around with adding blocks. We are going to make the ceiling 2 blocks thick. I think that's just going to look a little bit nicer, and then also we've got a couple spawnable spots here for endermen. So, there we go. Oh, except I got a bit carried away, and I did not waterlog all these things. Go. Oh. Okay, at this stage here, I've realized that I messed up my water a little bit. Or actually I messed up my stairs, and that caused all the water to come spilling out here. So what I needed to do was the way that we turned these stairs here to the side, so we got the full face on the inner side, and that prevents the water from flowing out. We needed to do that again 1 row down. So that would be, if we're looking at the head height here is where we got our hole in the wall. At the foot level, you also need to do that a little bit just so that we don't get a water source block, And that keeps our flowing water in here from wanting to come all the way out. And that just keeps it cleaner. See in here I've got a stair that's preventing the water from becoming source blocks and flowing all the way back. And our solid blocks and our stair. Okay. So now, here we have, we're going to measure out again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wait, that was 5. 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There we go. 15 is far enough. Using a stair, because that's going to give us our full block height. But still not be able to be teleported to by the Enderman. Get our minecart on there. And get an egg. Oh, come on. It's cheap. There we go. So we've got our chicken in there. Now from this point, we know that we're going to go another several blocks out, so that the explosion is going to be well and clear of the chicken. Chicken's at block 15. You could go another 5 or 6 blocks out. And let's start preparing to go upwards from here. We're going to spawn our wither in, and we're going to see where the skulls are going to start building the rest. Make sure that our blocks are all in place so that the wither ends up where we want. Here we go. We have the black wither skulls getting shot out. The blue wither skull has gotten itself trapped in there. Not all the black skulls will make it out, but those are the ones that aren't aimed correctly anyways. So we're going to be fine with that. Okay. We won't need that anymore. And we're going to come in and we're going to fill this wall in a second. But let's get this floor marked out first. Okay. Got the skulls coming here, and let's put the obsidian in until it starts getting hit. There we go. That's the foot level, and so here is where we're going to start building our minecart. That hopper minecart. Need a few blocks around it. Need our hopper. A couple temporary blocks. There we go. Hopper minecart is inside the block, all locked in place, and it's protected. We go up 4 blocks tall. We'll be good and safe before you start switching to cheaper blocks. This back wall you could build out of any block. You know, we're going to leave the back wall down for... You can see the hopper minecart does bounce like it's being hit, but I've never had it break from this. So that's working good. Now let's... While the wither is targeted on that, take advantage of that and get building into here. Now the wither will retarget onto you. You're not going to be 100% safe, but at least some of its attention is going to be directed over there. So you could come in here, and I did have to do this in survival server, so you could come in here with blocks that you don't care about. As long as you don't hit the wither, you can, you know, make a wall in here so that the wither can't see you. We have our wither cage complete. It's targeting the chicken. And now we need to get our enderman farm set up. So, standing here, we are at level 76. We need to go up 43 blocks. So that's going to take us to 119. Using the cheaper blocks now. $119. Now, make sure that I've done my math right. Yeah, and that's the problem with not having all of this waterproofed. So, I am going to fix that real quick in creative, and then we will come back to this here so that you can actually see this farm working as we build it. Okay, that should do it. Now, 119. There you go. That's the height that we want to drop the enderman from. And the hole is going to be right there. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to be placing the endermite right here. So I'm going to count out 20 blocks in every direction. You can make this part of the farm how you want, follow somebody else's tutorial. It's not all that important, but I'll at least show you how I've done it here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20. 1, 2, 3. 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 20. 1, 2, 3, 4. 19, 20. Okay, and then you can walk your way diagonally. And you should meet up nicely with each other. So you could do that all the way around and then fill in the middle, and you will have your spawning platform. So I am going to go and do that, and I will finish this drop chute as well, and then we'll come back. Okay, I have the platform built now, so I'm going to come in and start preparing it. I do want walls all the way around the outside, and that's so that when they spawn right on the edge, they're not going to push each other off, and then you'll have a whole bunch of endermen hanging around down at the bottom, or taking a long time to die. Okay, now all those walls are built, and we have our hole marked here, and our endermite is going to go here. Make that 3 walls tall, that way your enderman will never be able to get it. And we want the enderman to come from this direction at the front. I'm using doors just to make sure that they're not going to be able to hang out and get, hide on an edge here somewhere. I want to funnel them in, and I need pretty much a 2-block gap, or a 2-block border all the way around, so that when the endermen see this, they'll think that they can come and stand right here, and they'll want to run around. So just using distance as my method of controlling pathfinding, like this. So there's always at least 2 wall blocks in the way. But again, I'm just using something that they're not going to be able to teleport onto that's got full hitbox size, so that they don't get stuck here when they're pushed into each other. And now we just need a coral fan. To help encourage them to fall off. I'm sure many of you have seen these tricks for getting endermites before. You're gonna hop down here with the endermite, with your ender pearls, and throw them until you get an endermite. We're going to learn our lesson from the chicken and summon an endermite rather than tossing ender pearls for forever. Now I've got this ladder here so you can escape quickly, and the endermite will despawn in 2 minutes until you name tag it. So you'll want to get down in there and name tag it, and if you can encourage it to come over this way, that might save you a little bit of grief later on. Get your minecart in here, and you don't want the minecart going to the far side. You want it to stay on this side. There you go. And now you can just remove all of these blocks. There they go. You'll see it's not perfect, but it does work fairly quickly. And we are able to get a decent amount of wither roses out of this farm. So now you have a completed farm. All you need to do is hook up however big of a storage you want, and AFK in the middle here. So I suppose you could consider one of the nice things about this farm is in Simulation 4, when you're on the ground, you're not going to be having endermen spawning, so it's effectively automatically turns itself off. There you go. Done. Farm's work. So there you go. Now let's head back to this farm here, because this is the farm that I had set up as a little demonstration, and I had run some rate tests on this. So with a slightly smaller platform, with a 9-hour test, we got almost 3 double chests full of wither roses, plus a couple hoppers, and 7 double chests of ender pearls. So that works out to being 1,100 wither roses per hour. Oh, one more thing that I forgot before we finish up is you probably will want some kind of a backstop for any stray skulls, especially before you get the whole thing finished if you put your wither in early, and especially want to make sure that you've got nothing that you care about anywhere near this. And I'll show you that over here. You'll see all these skulls that we're catching up to. They've started going off in all sorts of random directions. I was kind of hoping that you would see the explosion when I flew over there. But if you let the wither constantly fire the skulls in exactly the same direction as you're building this for too long, as soon as you load those chunks in, all those skulls collide and they'll explode, and you'll end up with skulls heading in every direction. So I've had some skulls come back and land, or actually rather close to my farm, in the process of all the work I've done sorting this out when I just let it run for long periods of time with skulls flying off. So that's just a word of warning for you guys while you're building this, and just so you don't accidentally end up having something else that you care about get destroyed, like maybe a shulker farm somewhere that's, you know, off to the side and not in this direction. Okay. Well, there's the farm done. I hope you guys enjoy that. Let me know in the comments what you think of it, or if you think that there's something I've overlooked in this, or you have any questions. I'll see you guys next time I come up with something that I feel is worthwhile showing. Bye.